Hello, welcome back from our little hiatus. We are back in action. I was out of town for a little bit of time, but we are back. Me and Damian Segovia.
So why were you out of town? Are we allowed to talk about that?
We ain't allowed to talk about none of that, but we will
What
see.
about what about 5 questions?
No, we got questions from the Q&A that we got that we will go over, but that's
All
it.
right. Oh,
Yeah,
but you know what?
y'all.
We ain't allowed to talk about it, huh? All right. They'll find out at some point though, yes?
They will eventually
Okay.
on the road.
Okay.
How long down the
Okay.
road? I don't know yet. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, and I wanted to tell you guys out there listening, like our next episode, you're definitely gonna want to tune into because we have a very, very special guest. His name is Mr. Kim Oddo.
Yeah.
Sid's gonna interview us both, and it's probably gonna be pretty dang entertaining. So yeah.
Tune in, subscribe if you haven't. All right, y'all. So, like I told y'all before, a long time ago, we have a lot of questions we have not gone over yet. So we still got more questions for the question and answer that we're going to start tackling today. And then we're, like Damien said, we're going to have Kimoto on soon. And then after that, we'll have a couple more guests coming on because I know a lot of people want to have questions about menopause, premenopause, and all those things. And then working as parents with trying to be in the industry and everything like that too. So we're going to go over all those topics. We're not going to miss anything, and we'll be ready to bring the information to y'all. Okay. And again, somebody gave me a critique, so I got to remember I am 8-time figure Olympia champion Sydney Gillen. Just so you know who is talking to you. And this is my coach.
Hello.
That's it. All right, y'all. Okay, so first question we're going to jump into is mindset versus trusting your gut. And so I'm assuming they're talking about trusting your gut and mindset within our industry. But a lot of my kind of the way I go about mindset and everything is pretty much the same in all of my life. I kind of just do everything intensely, as y'all can see. I do everything intensely. Just what I do. Is it a good thing always? No, no. So depending on the mindset, my mindset is always going in open minded, but not so open minded that you're easily manipulated. So that's my takeaway. You got to have a solid foundation, some solid beliefs that can be changed with evidence if need be. But at the end of the day, you got to kind of get who you are set. And then you're going to be able to take in information and know what's right for you and what's not right for you as the time goes on. But I think trusting your gut is going to be coming down to, like I said, who you are. And in this industry, you can make bad decisions on going with certain coaches. You can make bad decisions on what supplements you like to take. You can make bad decisions everywhere. So the key thing is, if you have that solid foundation, you're going to be able to make better decisions. It might not be the best decision, but you can make better decisions as long as you know who you are. D, any takes on that and trusting your gut in the industry? I think for you, this cool part for you, the question I would have for you is trusting your gut when it comes to dialing in athletes. I know there's a couple times where you were like, usually I don't do this for a lot of athletes, but all right, we're gonna try it with you and see what happens. How was that experience? And kind of like walk us through the first time with me. You kind of had to be like, you know what, F it. This is what we're gonna do.
Well, I mean, I tell the story to a lot of people. Like the first time, I think it was maybe our second or third year. We used to always do the Arizona show as the warm up, Wings of Strength show. And I remember I would look at you in the morning. And I would look and I'm like, yeah, like she looks good, but it's like not wowing me, you know what I mean? And it's 2 weeks out. And
Yeah.
so I remember looking at you. I'm like, hey, let's look at you again when you come in. If y'all don't know, Sid and I usually always trained at 1 p.m. So she'd get there a little bit early. I'm like, let me just peek at you. And I looked at you the first day and I was like, oh, damn, like, dude, like totally different athlete. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so I'm like, well, let's do it the next day. And so we kept doing it all that week leading into the Wings of Strength show, the Arizona Pro. And I remember talking to myself, going, okay, she looks significantly better with water in, sodium in, normal meals, not trying to pull water, not trying to pull sodium. But I remember telling myself, like, if you do this and it backfires, you're going to look like the biggest dumbass on the planet. Like, y'all have won whatever it was, 2 or 3 Olympia titles in a row. You're going to look like a dumbass. So
Yeah.
we do it. We do it. It works out great. It's the best you look, you win. So guess what? This was back when the show was only like 1 or 2 weeks apart. I can't remember how long it was.
Yeah.
So we do the same process. I keep looking at you. I keep looking at you. Olympia's rolling up, and I'm talking to myself every day, going like, "Yo, but this is the Olympia. You can't do that. Like, if you do that and it really backfires, like it's a wrap. It's game over, you know." And I
Yeah.
remember fighting with myself to be okay trying something on that big of a stage because I was like, "That's just not what you're supposed to do. That's not what you're taught as a prep coach." So I just had to just roll the dice. You know what I mean? We was in Vegas. I just rolled the dice and said, hey, it worked once before. Why wouldn't it work, twice? And it ended up working extremely well. And that's kind of what we kind of stuck to moving forward.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's hard. Yeah, I think it's for athletes, trusting your gut, I would say, can be really troublesome when it comes to like prep. Because if you
Yeah.
trust your gut, you're always going to be hungry.
Yeah.
You're always going to look in the mirror, especially men. I find that I hear men are more sensitive to this, but they're always like, I'm flat. I need to eat some pancakes or I need to eat a pizza or something. And so they'll like eat food without letting their coach know because they just feel like they really needed it. You know what I mean? They were just like, so I'm like, give that feedback to your coach before you trust your gut and then kind of see what his response is. If
Yeah.
his response is a blanket no without an explanation, then yeah, sometimes you're gonna have to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? But if the coach sits down and explains to you why you're doing what you're doing and it's something that you can comprehend and you can understand, then just ride it, tell that show, and then go from there and analyze, hey, did that really work to the best of what I thought it could? And then from there you can decide. You know what I mean? So the only time I would say you trust your gut is if you're talking to somebody and they're asking you to do something you're very uncomfortable with. If you are uncomfortable with doing something, this goes for my athletes as well, which I should never have that situation, but if it ever did, just speak up. Hey, I'm not okay with this. Okay, well then that's my job to figure something else out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's fine. That's not a problem. If your coach isn't, then you probably need to get a new coach.
Absolutely.
That's about as black as white as I can be. So
And to add on that, I would also say, y'all, be cautious of making any gut decisions or any decisions that can have a lasting impact on your life or career in prep. Especially at the end of a prep, when you kind of in the trenches and your brain isn't necessarily what it would be with full food, full rest,
yeah.
full recovery. You got to kind of like relationship choices, friendship choices, all those. Just pause for a beat, make it through the prep, and readjust need be when you're fully yourself, not a dieted version of yourself. So that's always tell myself, I'm like, hey girl, chill out. You getting a little, you revving up a little bit, take it down until you got a prep. And then you see. Now, if you're still revved after prep, then that means there's an actual issue at play. So watch
Yeah.
for that.
Great.
All right. This question I kind of like a lot because I've seen a lot of different stories about people who fit into this category of how long should you try going pro?
My first response is going to be as long as you can financially afford it. That's
Yeah.
first and foremost. I've seen a lot of people go into a lot of debt chasing a dream that would eventually probably would happen, but they get to the point where they're so in tunnel vision they just keep spending and spending and spending. And there ain't no point of doing anything in life, you know what I mean? That if you got to spend that much money where you're going to be in such a big hole that you can't get out of it,
Yeah.
that's for me, that's always the conversation, regardless of whether somebody has a lot of money or not,
Yeah.
So
Because I've seen people, they've been going to national shows for 13 years, 15 years, still going at it, but they don't hit like a whole bunch of shows, but they'll hit that same show repeatedly. And sometimes they do get better, sometimes they don't. So I think it's if you're a matter like Dee said, are you financially able to keep going and really diving into everything that prep takes? Then that's one thing. Does it bring you joy? If it brings you joy and you're not winning and you're still happy and you can afford it, keep going. Eventually, there may be one or two people in the class. At the end of the day, they got classes that go all the way up to 80 plus. So if you started at 40 and you're still competing at 80, highly likely you still will get that pro card. It just may be 40 years later. So it just depends on kind of what your whole situation is in terms of how far you should go. I think it's realistic for a large portion of people, but what I find is in our industry, people forget that this is a genetic sport. And they just are like, oh, well, everybody can build muscle. Da, da, da. Okay, this is still a genetic sport. Those who have a decent work ethic and good genetics can get further more quickly than somebody who does not. It may work 10 times harder than that person. So you also have to keep those things into your um just at the front of your brain when you're thinking about how quickly something can happen. And also it's a matter of not judging your journey against somebody else's. For me, I turned pro after 3 NPC shows and I was out of there. So at my third NPC show, I turned pro. So that is not everybody's trajectory. I had already been
hmm
5 or 6 years prior to that point before I turned pro, all through the natural org. So when I came over, it wasn't like it was so new. It was different because it was a different industry. So a different federation and different everything that was going on into it. And the stages were different. They were bigger. There were more people. But I never judged my journey against somebody else's. And so I didn't care how long it was going to take to get pro. I just knew I was going to be pro eventually. That was just based off of concrete information. As subjective as the sport is, I knew that my genetics would eventually carry me where I wanted to go. It's just a matter of when that would happen. So it's going to be a lot of personal decision making, but I don't think you should be like, oh, if I don't turn pro in 5 years, I should give up on it unless you can't afford it.
Yeah, and I also think it depends on the division. If you're getting into fit
True.
model, you're in a fit model, you could turn pro your very first year out the
Yep.
gate. Yeah, a year or two. Figure, it's gonna take a little bit longer unless you just been hiding underneath a rock and you got
Yeah.
lots of muscle a lot of people don't know about. And then it just goes up. You
Yeah.
know, wellness, women's physique, bodybuilding, women's bodybuilding, men's body. That's just gonna take realistically a lot longer. Genetics are not, you know what I mean? Some of those divisions are just years of pounding. So I think a lot of it just depends on a, where you're starting at, and B, what division you're in. But I mean, my thing is do it as long as you still enjoy it. Like you said, if you still love doing it and you're still competitive within yourself and other people, then you can afford it. Then do it, do it till you get what you want. You know?
I agree. And now, pause. I got to circle back to the first question because I think this is a cool story. Because I also didn't ask D about this. Our very last prep together, trusting your gut. What did that do for you? And kind of describe how that prep for you was. Watch me day to day to day and recognizing, like, hey, she's still losing weight every single day when I don't need to lose any more weight. Kind of how does that go into play?
Mm.
As a coach, what do you do to kind of pause the weight? Do you keep letting the person drop and then try to fill them back out? How depleted is depleted? Kind of how does that work?
So I don't really go into the like a real like lower depths of depletion like a lot of coaches do. Because sometimes when you let so much air out of that balloon, you can't refill it. You know what I mean? Like you just can't. And then also too, dealing with different athletes. A natural athlete, this gal right here, and a non-natural athlete is going to probably fill out, in my experience, different than somebody else who's, you know, not enhanced. And so for me, I always got to be careful because when you start to get too low and you keep dropping and dropping and you're a natural athlete, you're probably metabolizing a lot more muscle than you are anything else. You don't have that life vest on, you know, we'll call it a life vest, you know, because you ain't taking anything like that. So with you, I just, you know, we've done it so long. I always know how your body's going to respond. You know what I mean? I always know if it's going to be a hard prep or it's going to be an easier prep. And this year, I don't know if it was because it shouldn't have been that way. You know, for us, that was going in our ninth or whatever it was year Olympia, and you already had a couple under your belt before then. That's not normal. Normally, when you have an athlete doing something as long as you have, it's not supposed to get easier. It's supposed to get harder because the body starts getting worn out. It starts getting, you know, where it wants to fight everything, and you're having a hard time trying to trick it into doing what you want it to do. For you, I think 'cause we did everything so well, you know, and especially you, yeah, did everything so well, 365. We never had a bad post show experience. So you never, I was never trying to fix you. You know what I mean? So this past year, your body was just working really efficiently to the point where, and your muscles were just staying a lot more dense and a lot fuller. So I was able to give you a lot more food, a lot further out from trying to peak you.
Yeah.
And we just kept looking every day and it just kept looking great. So I just kept being like, you know, here, just add more, keep adding until we can't, you know what I mean? And I find that works really well sometimes with some athletes, whereas some coach, I think they get very afraid to
Yeah.
do that because again, they don't want to trust their own experience or they're just afraid it's going to backfire. I understand that. But sometimes you got to do something that you haven't done before to see if there's going to be a different result. And you have to be willing to roll that dice and just say, "Hey, I got to do something different." And you and I never talked about you retiring. We kind of knew like it might be coming up, but you and I never talked like dead set. Like you didn't tell me this is it. I'm out.
Yeah.
So for me, I kind of suspected it, and I was like, if this is gonna be her last year, then this needs to be her best. Like, I don't want people talking. I don't want to hear the bullshit that it was close because it ain't never been. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, especially not the last year. So I made sure, like, you know, you were always gonna do your part, but I made sure I did my part and a little bit more to like make sure it was just lights out. Like as soon as you hit the stage, game over. Like I remember you came out, you started hitting a couple of your poses, your routine. That was it for me. I, I started walking to the side. I was like, and I know people was looking at me like that arrogant fuck, and I was like, don't care because it's over. You know what I mean? And that was it for me. You know, like, and I wanted to make sure that was the lasting memory of you. You know what I mean? So Yeah, your body was just moving much differently. Usually it's a little bit stubborn. It was moving, so I just kept feeding it, and it kept moving, and you kept working, and it worked out. So,
That was the cool part too, is because for me, trusting my gut, I'm very analytical. And if I knew that though was we were trying, if everything was a little bit different because everything was faster, I knew that my coach hadn't steered me wrong for 8 years. So it's like,
mm,
just try. If he say do it, I say how high, because at the end of the day, he's been right every single time. Anything he had to change, right every single time. And so me trusting my gut was me having evidence based of the fact that I know this man knows what he's doing. I know he has me on lock, and like he's gonna make sure that I look my best. And so when you have somebody who pours into you and you know your circle is tight and well vetted, that makes the experience and the ability to trust your gut a lot better. Because I damn sure was looking like, yo, there's a lot of food. Like he gonna keep feeding me. I'm like, and
mm,
eventually for the first couple of days, I was like, oh, this is cool, this is great. And then eventually I'm like, yo, I'm still eating. And I'm still eating. And I'm still
yeah.
eating. And I'm like, but I was getting hungry, and I was like, this is weird. And I was like, I wonder if anybody else's preps are like this. But it was the first prep like that where like we were so ahead. And I think because I came out 12 weeks ahead of time versus the 10 versus the 8. Anytime we bumped up the timeline better, we always looked better. So it always made
Hmm.
sense. Again, that was on his guidance. I didn't say, hey, I want to come out 2 weeks earlier and leave my family. My coach say, hey, I need you out here at this period of time. So my gut is to trust my coach. I'm gonna go do what my coach said, and I'm gonna go sit on my butt in Arizona and do what I'm told to do.
I wonder psychologically though, since you kind of knew it was your last year, like I wonder if that made less of a like anxiety, stress weight on your chest. You know what I mean?
I'm thinking so because I made that decision roughly about 6 weeks out. And then once I said it, I talked to my family, I talked to my sister, and I was excited. Like I remember staying up at night, like, oh, I need to go to bed because I got to get up and do my cardio. But like, I'm really excited. And the fact that I knew that I was excited about it was a testament to tell me, like, hey, like you're ready to go ahead and do something else. Like it's been great, loved it. It's time to do something else. And so once I made that click, that's when I literally kept looking at the scale every day, and I was losing damn near a pound a day, and it just kept moving and kept moving and kept moving.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, clearly my body and my psyche is liking what I just told it, and I am comfortable with the decision I made, and that's why I think everything started really rocking at that point. Because I remember we got back by the time we went to go see Evogen. After the time we got back, junk was rocking, like it was rocking.
Hmm.
I think that was a cool experience to see. And ultimately, that look was definitely my favorite look from top to bottom, from the presentation, from the hair, from the makeup, from the body. I was like, you know what? If that's how you go out, that's how you go out. So I think it was a
Yeah.
thing. And I always laugh too because I remember I always, every time I get off stage, y'all, I always ask him, so how'd I do? This man side eyed me, was like, what you mean? I'm like, damn, did I mess up? Like, I thought I messed up. So I never know kind of how I did. So I ask him, I have to ask him first to be like, hey, did I do right? And then
Yeah.
when I get his answer down, I'm like, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. But I always wait on his approval of what happened on stage so I can know what's what.
Yeah, I think it's just you weren't as anxious, you know what I mean? I think you were at peace with whatever that you knew that was the end of the road, so it was the end no matter what.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people will think like, oh, when you win, like, oh, you're the champ, it's easier. I'm like,
No.
it's actually harder. The pressure and the amount of anxiety coach and athlete and anyone in that circle has to deal with is like amplified as each year goes on. It just amplifies like times 10. People don't realize when you chasing something, it's real easy because you can see what's in front of you. You go, okay, I know this is what I'm chasing. But when you're being chased, you don't know what to do. You just know to keep moving your ass as fast as you can. So it's really hard not to overshoot, anything because you don't know what everyone else is doing behind you. They might just come by and just clean, blow by you. When you're behind, it's really easy because you're tracking and you're seeing and you can look. But like I talked to Hani a lot about that when he was with Phil. It's like one of the few things like there's very few athletes and coaches in this industry have ever had to experience that. And honestly, it's awesome, but at the same time, it's a lot of freaking weight to carry for both athlete, and coach.
Yep. And I say specifically for you because I'm one of those athletes who just does what I'm told. So if
Yeah.
I don't do, if I was one of the athletes who didn't do what I told you, can't blame the coach. But if I'm doing
Yeah.
everything I'm supposed to do and the coach messes up, it does. So that goes all to him.
Mm.
So I think
Hmm.
that's even more pressure than I had because I just got to do what I'm told. I don't got to think about nothing. I wake up. You say 30 minutes, 30 minutes. You say 25, 25. How much? All right. Get on stage. Do what I'm supposed to do. So that takes the pressure off of me, but it puts everything onto the coach, which is
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, I carried a little weight for a little bit.
All
And
right,
then
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. Next question.
Circling back to our questions. Okay. Mm. How do we see the category evolving over the next years?
It's crazy because what this is the we'll talk about Pittsburgh this year.
Yes, let's talk
So
about it.
Tyler and the panel did a great job of kind of rewarding a look, which to me seems really weird. All these athletes, because for years everyone was chasing you. They was trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden you retired, and everyone started getting smaller and smaller. I'm like everybody, even Jessica Rhea Padilla was in the audience, and she's like the smallest she's ever been, and Natalia's the smallest, and Lola like skinny, you know what I mean? Like look great, but just so I don't know if there was a memo out there. They all got together and said, "Hey, girls, like us top girls, let's bring it down,"
Hmm.
because I didn't see that coming. I
Yeah,
100% didn't see it. I thought it was gonna go. It was already getting bigger, and I thought when you left, it was about to get like real.
same,
Floodgate was open up. They was about to get big.
same. But
Nope,
I think the one
opposite.
thing is that is they recognize that you were already bigger than me. Y'all kept trying to get bigger. That didn't make any sense. If I was beating you as a smaller person, maybe you shouldn't be getting as big. So I think
Yeah.
maybe they're like, okay, Sid was winning for a lot of other reasons besides me being smaller than them. But like maybe let me tone it down a little bit so that I'm pushing more towards that look versus obliterating it and going completely other level, which would then morph the entire category as a whole.
Yeah, so honestly, I think Pittsburgh was a really good turn point. I mean, honestly, it shocked the hell out of me. I wasn't ready for it, but I was really happy with what Tyler and the judging panel did with the girls that they had available.
Mhm.
It just served notice to everybody, like, hey, tone it down. Like, start focusing more on shape and symmetry than just trying to have these big ass shoulders and big ass like just everything. So I honestly, I think Pittsburgh was really a really just great weekend for that to kind of change the trajectory from where I thought it was going to go.
Yeah, agreed. I think too, it's important to recognize that every single category will evolve. Even though we have fit model as it is right now, it's highly unlikely that it doesn't evolve because every other category has. And a
Hmm.
lot of that comes down to athlete, their spouses, and their coaches. It is y'all that give the judges what they're judging. And the judges
Hmm.
can only reward what is on stage. They can only judge what is on stage. So if y'all start getting bigger, y'all start getting leaner, y'all start getting more conditioned, y'all start doing more A, B, C, and D, that then pushes the entire category because the next people who are smaller look substantially different than the other people. And it is too much of a difference when you can't really shut down the person who is more wow. Wow for what reason though? But wow. So you then pull the judge's eye to that. So it's kind of a matter of when you're in this industry is trying to maintain what it was, not worried about what so and so want. That's not you. You got to focus on what your best look is and does it fit the criteria of what the category is calling for at that time. And as long as you kind of stay within that category and make your best look within those guidelines, that would be better than completely going stage left and then everybody else following you and then it's something else completely. So that's a large
Yep.
part too. Take some of that responsibility back in your hands.
Yeah, if you're a fit model athlete and you just like you're like and you're needing to take a supplement to get a new coach, get a new perspective. Ain't no damn fit model athletes need to be taking anything but the basics you can get at any GNC vitamin shop. You know what I mean? So like that division like it shouldn't evolve. You know what I mean? It's going to get more athletic once the
Yes.
pros start competing because you're going to see a lot of bikini girls drop down. So that naturally is going to make the athleticism more and give it more, make it more valid to where girls, are like, oh, this is awesome.
Hmm.
But at the same time, the supplement portion of that division needs to stay the hell out of it.
Thank you. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen. All right, next question. Okay, so we had a question about breaking down each category. So I'm glad we kind of dove into this a little bit. We're going to break down each category for the newbies. We'll go through women and men so you kind of know what's what. So that way you know where you kind of want to start at. So we got fit model, like Dee and I were just talking about. Fit model is your smallest category. We're going to go smallest to air quote largest. Okay, fit model is for your people who like a bikini girls who never could get like super round glutes or super round shoulders or didn't have the same amount of density and want to come down, or your athletes who are just starting out and just have your regular base slimmer builds, still athletic but just you just happen to be slimmer.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. Any better way to describe it than that? I just call it slim because everybody's slim to me. Unless you're women's bodybuilding or women's physique. Everybody else, slim. Okay, we got fit model. From fit model, once you start training for a little bit longer, if you so choose and you want more density in glutes, more density in shoulders, just more, you can go to bikini. Bikini is still, I'm gonna call it slim adjacent now because some of them girls low key kind of they little slick swole. They a little bit dope, okay? They pass me shoulders bigger than mine. So we got to
Yep.
touch on that one. But like say if you look at Laura Lee, Miss Bikini Olympia, she's a slimmer build, taller, more stretched out, beautiful glutes, round shoulders, small waist. That's more of your, I would say your fit model is your mainstream. Bikini is your mainstream adjacent. Where it was of your mainstream, like your fit model is, since it's kind of like a smaller version of bikini. Bikini is going to just be even more athletic, like we talked about, just rounder muscle bellies, more density required in order to do well in that.
Leaner too.
Yeah,
Body fat levels leaner. Yeah.
definitely leaner. All
Yep.
right. So say you don't want to do bikini. Bikini, you're gonna jump up. I'm gonna skip one. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm skipping one. So I'm gonna go from bikini to jump you to figure. Okay, I'm gonna jump you to figure for this reason and this reason alone. Symmetry. All right, if you go from bikini and say you're too big for bikini, all right, figure is your next best bet because you're still symmetrical because you're symmetrical in bikini. Unless your legs can grow, unless your back can grow, your shoulders can grow. But if you're already symmetrical and your body grows symmetrically, that will put you into figure if it stays the size where we would like it to stay. You have a little bit of room to gain more density, gain more mass, still keep the same hourglass shape that you had in bikini, and jump it over to figure. The benefit of jumping from the smaller categories to figures, what I found is the bikini girls already focus on glutes so much, so the lines in the glutes are cleaner. Because again, I told you I'm a booty watcher, and I find that the bikini girls who can gain a little bit of muscle and jump on the figure have those clean lines under the glutes, when a larger portion of figure girls don't necessarily have clean line under the glutes. So I think that's a benefit that can benefit you if you jump up to figure. Now, I skipped wellness. All right, wellness is supposed to go between bikini and figure, but I skipped wellness because I put wellness closer to women's physique in terms of, and women's bodybuilding in terms of the amount of size on the lower body. Those legs are twice the size of mine, right? Twice. 2 times the size of mine. So that's not an in-between for me. It's over here. You got to have some meat on them bones. You got to genetically be lower body dominant. And what I found is a lot of girls try to jump ship from figure and jump ship from bikini and go to wellness and don't have a wellness build. So a lot of people left figure because they didn't have the genetics, but you also need the genetics for wellness. A lot of people try to fit into wellness. They don't fit into wellness. No matter what you do, you won't fit if those legs don't grow and the glutes and the hamstrings don't grow and the calves don't grow in the manner in which it needs to in wellness, while still having smaller shoulders, smaller back, overall smaller clavicle, so that you're not giving as much boom, boom, boom as you would see in figure. So that's what we see over that. All right, after you go from wellness, which is supposed to be asymmetrical, it's the only category that is asymmetrical. Your lower body is supposed to be bigger than your upper body. It should not match. So a lot of women also came down from women's bodybuilding. They're still more matchy, but they can have the mass on the legs because they already had it for the larger category. Okay. All right, from wellness, we're going to jump over to women's physique. Women's physique, more muscle mass, more conditioning, hardness, but not going grainy. All right, that's for people who still want to be symmetrical top to bottom, but you don't want as much of a cap on your muscle. All right, you still have a cap because you're not women's bodybuilding. Even women's bodybuilding has gotten a cap too because they don't want it to go too big. So you're going into the categories that have a larger cap depending on how you grow and how you want to train your body and what look you want to carry around year round. All right, and then women's bodybuilding is going to be your largest. That's for the ladies who are just dense. They kind of put muscle on everywhere. If you look at my friend Andrea, like, is she just boom? And it just looks great on her. It's just a flow to the muscle because she's Miss Pretty Muscle. It's a flow to the muscle where everything is round and there's no cap. Like if she were to try to do figure, she backs out of figure because she was too big for a figure. So women's bodybuilding was a perfect place for her because she could be larger and be kind of where her body naturally more so wants her to go. So that's on the women's side. Then on the men's side, for my men out there, you got men's physique, classic, and 212 and open. Open is for your biggest guys. Classic is slightly smaller. And the men's physique is sometimes the same as classic to me, which is more choices depending on who you ask and who's winning the show. But it's supposed to be smaller than your classic, and then 212 is the smaller version. You only have to be 212 pounds, but you are a bodybuilder, not the other subsets. All right, did I cover everything?
That's it. Fitness, we've missed fitness, but fitness
Oh,
is
fitness.
pretty much figure just with a routine.
With the routine. The
Yeah.
routine is 2/3 of your score. So you really want to make sure that you showcase you have that not necessarily acrobatic background. It helps. You can have a dance background too. You could just be a person who likes to do more on stage because a lot of people are more constrained to only having a routine versus a fitness routine. You can dance, you can jump, you can do everything you want to do within that 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes. I can't remember. Something like that. 2 minutes. There you go. All right, next question. How do you combat bloating before a big competition?
Okay, first off, don't eat shit you ain't been eating in 12 weeks. You know what I mean? Don't try to a lot. I don't know if I don't say a lot of coaches. I say that a lot. I'm not trying to say there's a lot of bad coaches out there, so I'm just gonna say it. But a lot of people, a lot of coaches try to push shit in the peak week plan they ain't had in the last 2 weeks and wonder why they bloated. You know what I mean? Or like restrict the water so much while they're trying to carb up, and it's like I get the thought process, but if you ain't drinking while you eating all them carbs, your body ain't gonna process and digest all those carbs. They're just gonna sit right here in your belly. So of course you're gonna be bloated. But I think a lot of it's just most people put in foods they haven't been eating, or they try to do like a junk load. I'll tell you this: if you're an athlete and you're eating a bunch of shit the night before a show, either you or your coach did something really wrong during prep because you ain't supposed to eat a bunch of shit a bunch of the night before the show. If you're doing that, it's because something went sideways, and as a coach, you are trying to salvage it. I'll tell you that right now. Now, if it's a plan like burger and a fry, something small, because you've done it before a couple weeks in a row, you've kind of done this, but trying to do what they call a dirty like load, I think is what they call it, like as far
Mhm.
as like dirty loading. It's there's too many variables you can't control because even if you're like, okay, I ate a pizza 2 weeks ago and I look great, are you going to eat the same damn pizza cooked by the same damn chef? Because all those factors weigh in how your body's going to deal with that. If you're used to eating Domino's and you go somewhere back east and you eat something that has different type of bread, different type of cheese, you know what I mean? All that's going to affect you differently. So my thing is keep everything as what you've been doing. Keep it as simple as possible so you can control as many variables as possible.
I agree. Also, your year-round gut health. A lot of people start focusing on bloat only before a show, and you need to recognize if you're bloated 12 weeks out, 18 weeks out, 12 months out, you need to know what your system is doing. And so, plug for Evogen, probiotic DR30 is what I've been taking for the last 3 years, and that's probably been the biggest difference between taking my probiotic, but also not doing as heavy of a, well, not at all, of the sugar-free condiments.
Mm.
I cut those out completely. So my gut health the last years only got better because I was supplementing to make sure my gut flora was functioning for me properly. I made sure I was going to the bathroom all the time. For those who go into the bathroom once a week, 2 times a month, stuff like that, something's off. Something's off. You got to figure out what's happening in your colon, what's happening in your intestines in general, just kind of like what's going on. So that way you kind of know what's going on. But also, too, your year round hydration. All that makes a matter in terms of your gut health as well. If you're not drinking any water until, like, oh, I'm in prep and it's 24 weeks out or 12 weeks out, and all of a sudden now I want to start hydrating and making sure everything works properly. Those other days that you left out are also, you're leaving kind of just everything in the air because you had time to make sure that everything was perfect going into prep, and the more you make everything perfect going into prep, the easier prep will be. All
Mhm.
right, so that's key thing there. It's just making sure that gut health is good overall, and making sure that you pay attention to your body and not kind of you're running. Everything is almost an experiment in a sense. So other reasons I know that my gut health got better is because I did things at one time. You got to control your variables, like we talked about. Is when I started part one. All right, let me throw in my probiotics, see how that works. All right, I saw a noticeable difference. Okay, after a little bit of time, let me pull out those condiments and see what happens. All right, that looks good. I did it every single prep. Next thing you know, I was like, all right, I don't like this oatmeal. Let me do my little research on my preservatives and da 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 da. All right, let me try this new oatmeal. All those things start adding up in the information you receive and the trials and that you've gone through, the kind of experiments you've gone through with yourself. All of that can make it easier on your coach. Your coach doesn't worry about your gut health if you already taken care of it before you got to them. So those are key things too, is not relying so much on your coach to do every single thing for you. Let's be kind of a little introspective and recognize what we have control of and what we can do ourselves in order to make our coach's job easier and make your life easier. And so a large portion, it was an accident of why I even took out the condiments. It's because, not an accident, it was intentional in the sense that I wanted to make my preps as easy as possible. And so I know every time I get to the prep, he gonna pull my condiments. So why would I just not don't take them at all? So that way when I get to the end of a prep, nothing has changed from 365 days earlier. I'm still eating the same food. So now my attitude hadn't changed. My stress levels haven't changed because nothing's been pulled from me. I've just eaten the same thing all year long and I'm fine with that. So that was why I ended up taking it out. But that's when I recognized like, that kind of did more than you thought it was going to do. And that was a good idea to keep going throughout these last years. So kind of
Yeah, and
order.
yeah, let me tell people, like when you said pull condiments, it's not, we didn't pull sodium, we just pulled condiments that had any type of preservatives, chemicals, or anything like that. I don't want people to think like, oh, that, she pulled, no, we always kept sodium in. Yeah, exactly. We pulled stuff that we knew was probably going to cause some irritation to your gut. So,
Yeah. And that's why you notice throughout the years that my waist got smaller and smaller and smaller because my digestion got better and better and better.
mhm.
All those things for those people who want smaller waist and smaller things, all that starts up in here. You got to make sure everything is moving like a machine so that way you're getting those aesthetic effects after the fact. All right. Do you believe in intuitive eating or counting calories?
Both. I believe in both for different reasons. I give athletes break all the time, like maybe post show. I'll tell them like, hey, just take the next couple of days, do some intuitive eating, just be smart about what you choose. Not everyone's built like you said. Not everyone wants to diet the night after they just won their first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth Olympia. Most people don't want to talk about anything.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So I usually give people a little bit of leeway if I feel like they can handle it. Some athletes you can't. You
I
need to
can't.
have them, yeah. Some athletes you need to have them count because they physically just don't know how to intuitively eat. They think like what they did was a really good job. And I'm like, yo, that's not a good job. Like you ate shit after shit after shit for 5 meals the next day. No wonder why you don't feel well. You know what I mean? And you weigh 20 pounds extra. You know what I mean? So I think it just depends on the athlete, but I believe both is important. For some people, I feel like I think you do that when you travel, when you go on your vacation after Olympia, you would kind of do a little bit of
I
intuitive.
see, but I think when I did it, what I've learned is when I do intuitive eating, I don't eat enough anymore because it got to the point, especially because I trained myself to kind of chill out on the food aspect and switch my relationship with how I do it. So now if I intuitively eat, I'm going to undereat. I'm going to do
Yeah.
it. That's enough. I'm good. Pause it right there, spread it out, and kind of go from there. Now, if I go back to my younger days, my intuitive eating was eating everything I could see in front of me because it was a bottomless pit. My metabolism was booming. I was young. I was doing all the sports. I was doing everything. So I could do that. I could eat it, and it was like a whole thing where I never had to change that path because it always worked out and I always got back in shape every single time. So I was creating this little cycle of eating habits that I didn't need and necessarily want just because I could do it, I was doing it. And
Hmm.
that's the main difference now is like now when I went on my little vacation, I could eyeball things. Like sometimes some of the meals were like 3 cups of rice and 2 ounces of chicken. I was like, I'm not eating that. So I would literally cut half the rice, grab 2 or 3 meals, throw half the rice over here, take the protein from everybody else's meal, and throw it into my meal. That was my type of intuition in terms of like making sure everything doesn't go so left, especially when I'm trying to one function well as a person and keep my body where I want it to be, where I'm happy waking up every day and able to run, able to move, and able to do everything better than the next person. Because like a lot of people don't realize how competitive I am in life. I'm just competitive in general. Like it doesn't matter if I'm on the stage or off the stage. I want to look better than the next person. I want to stand out in my own way because of my love for myself. So everything is a competition within me. And it's more so like, how good can I be? How much of a better term, badass can I be? Can I leap from this? Can I do all these things are what I want to do. So in order for me to do all those things to the best of my functionality, I have to train for that. So I just train to be an athlete in a different aspect. And a lot of that still comes down to food. So I think my base in bodybuilding is helpful in the journey that I'm traveling now, but it's more so solely because I just want to be better than other people when I'm competing outside of bodybuilding. I just want to be better. And that's just me. I like to be the best. I won't
Mm,
always be the best, but doesn't mean you don't strive for it.
for sure. Yep.
That's just me. All right, we got a couple more questions. We're doing good on time. All right. How do you handle cravings during strict dieting?
That ain't me, so you go ahead.
I never had cravings, so I didn't worry about that. But what I never had cravings. The last time I had a craving was before I was with my coach, Damian here. I would pull carbs completely, just snatch them out because I used to only have like 3 weeks of prep. Like I would get off the track season and be like, all right, you got 3 weeks before Toronto Pro. Hey, make it happen. So I pull every carb known to man. And then I would just ride out full keto for 3 weeks. Then I had very bad rebounds and very bad cravings to the point where I was just angry often. I found that once you start removing whole energy sources, that didn't happen. So I've never had a craving under Damien ever. So I don't really have to deal with any of that. Um, that's a
I, I,
blessing.
w- I would say just talk to your coach. You know, if you're trying to fight those cravings every night by yourself, you're probably going to lose that battle. So just talk to your coach like, hey, is there something we can do? Is there something I can take that can help with this?
Mm,
Or is there a way like we could structure my meals to where I can eat some foods that are a little bit more mentally satisfying to myself later at night, so I'm not craving some of those foods when I'm just sitting there watching TV. So
mm,
I think if you communicate, then you should be able to work out some type of game plan to make it to where it's a little bit more manageable. It doesn't mean they're going to go away, just to make it to where then you're not so ravenous that sooner or later you end up binging one night and then throw your whole next 2 3 weeks off. You know what I mean? 'Cause you
yeah,
just dug yourself like a really big hole. So
yeah.
I'd say communicate.
That and I heard some people. I'll give you some tips that people gave that I've heard around is cucumbers with stevia on them. That's what I don't know. That's what they said. That's what the people said. So I heard about that, and that's what a lot of them did. Another thing that could help, I think I read something about vinegar kind of cut it.
Yeah.
You could do like the vinegar. Now the vinegar soaked cucumbers, those might get it. Those
Yeah.
see those as a kid. Those might do
Yep.
something for you. Yeah, so try out those things. That's about as good as I can get on that, y'all. But one day, I don't know. No, I don't plan to ever know about it. Uh,
Yeah. When you pregnant, you about to have a lot of cravings.
and somebody's gonna have to walk me off a ledge because I don't do the whole. I'm still not. I'm making progress. I'm not the whole let be free and no. I'm still gonna get my same diet plan. D, what am I eating? And
This
that's
shit,
gonna be it. Then if it's
shit
not
gonna have
I'm eating it.
pickled ice cream. You're gonna have some random ass shit in it because you're
No,
having some weird cravings.
I don't want it. All right. We're gonna do two more questions. Okay. What's your take on carb cycling?
Honestly, I think it's probably the best approach you can. I don't like having somebody have the same meal plan like every day of the week. I feel like the body stalls out. Carb cycling also gives athletes something to look forward to.
Hmm.
The one thing I do notice for some athletes, though, when they get really deep into prep and like they've been on it for a couple weeks, sometimes carb cycling can make athletes feel a little bit tired when they have their high carb days. Usually, if that's the case, there's something going on that needs to be figured out with your blood glucose level, your insulin. But I just like carb cycling because it works really good to keep the weight loss continually moving. Doesn't let the body get too used to the same amount of calories every single day. And like I said, I think it gives the athlete something to look forward to. And as a coach, it allows me to go, okay, I know if you have a body part that's lagging a little bit and we can put it the day after or the day of a higher carb day, I know we're going to get much better blood flow, much better workouts. You got a little bit more energy in the tank. So I feel like carb cycling works really well.
I personally loved it. It was the first time I ever did it was with D. So I'm like, this is fun. Now the first day, because again, y'all know I'm a creature of habit. The first day kind of remember, all right, which day is what? Put it because I like to memorize all my meal plans. So memorizing 3 different meal plans, that got me for a second. That first week, I'm like, I'll go back and check every single meal. I'm going back and checking my plan. Is this right? Is this right? Because I might mess up. So that's the only thing for me that would get me. But I loved it. Physically, it made me feel great. I did make me annoyed at the end, 'cause especially when your food gets real high and you go on a low day, then you go to the high day. Got to the point where I'd rather have the low day because I wasn't as hungry because I had my fats higher on those days. Then you get to the high day, you man, it's some bull. And every time I look around, I'm looking like, just take this. I remember I forgot who I was talking to, one of my clients. I was like, just take it. Just take it. Give me the low day. Give me the peanut butter. Give me the cashews because this right here is not for me. But it worked really well, clearly. So That's that. So I would definitely say test it out. It was a great tool that I love using. All right, so we're gonna go one last question. How do you handle holiday eating while staying on track?
It would be you, which you never did. Even though I gave you permission every year, you never did.
I just stick to my plan. Because one, I
Yeah.
oh, I hate when I'm eating again. Keep in mind, I've been doing this for 18 years. I hate when I'm eating and people start talking to me. Girl, I'm trying to eat. And 9 times out of 10, it's my one meal. My one meal for the day that I haven't had. My one meal for the week. Let me rephrase. For the week that I done had my food. And you want to talk to me while I'm doing it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you want me to be a part of the holidays, I'll grab my plate and take it to go. I'm going to eat when I get home in peace and quiet with my TV on watching that. That's what I want to do. Other than talking and socializing, I finally got to the part where I can go out and talk around food this year. Okay. I also, guys, guess what, D? I went on my first brunch ever in life this year. I said, this is great. For those who don't know, I only eat my cheat meals at night. So 9 times out of 10, all the time, really 10 times out of 10, the brunch spots closes at 3. I'm not getting brunch at 3 and letting it sit till 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. when I like to eat my cheat meal. So I'm not going to do that. So I never been to brunch my entire life until after Triple O this year in April. And I went to my first brunch last Sunday in Atlanta. I told my friend, I was like, yeah, this is my first brunch in Atlanta. They thought I was joking. I said, no, I'm dead serious. My friend was like, she's been on a diet since she was 14. I'm like, yeah. I don't go to brunch. First of all, brunch wasn't a hot spot thing back in the day. Like that's like the last 10 years or so. So I was very proud of myself. I'm doing good, guys. Retirement is doing me well, I will say.
Yeah. So I'll give a tip since you gave none about holiday eating. I would probably say to try to pick like what time you're eating with your family, and then before and after try to eat your normal meals. That way, I think a lot of people try to go like, I'm not gonna eat all day so I can just like eat as much. I just feel like that just it makes you not feel good. Your blood sugar spikes really high, then it crashes at the end of the night, and then you find yourself eating leftover like pie and whatever else is in the house from that holiday meal. So I feel like if you can eat, I think most of us in the holidays usually eat around one, two, sometimes four or five.
Mhm.
Eat your meals beforehand so that way you're not so damn hungry. And so you still are able to eat a normal meal and enjoy it with your family, but you're not trying to eat anything and everything because you haven't eaten all day. I would say that's probably the best thing. And stay hydrated. Make sure you stay hydrated beforehand, just so again, so you're not confusing hydration with hunger. And I feel like that would probably be a much better plan. And then if you're going somewhere, don't take leftovers home. If you're cooking and you're hosting, try to get the leftovers out of your house. Give them away as fast as you can. As soon as the meal's done, make everyone take something home, so that way you don't have it in the house and you're more likely not to continue to eating that night or later the next day.
Oh, I do have tips. I would
There you
also
go.
suggest you take a glucose disposal agent,
Yep.
Evolog from Evogen Co. CYD. You can take that. I take that every single cheat meal. So that way the insulin isn't hitting my bloodstream as hard. It's going more so into my muscles. So I'm pushing that food where I want it to go versus me just kind of sitting there and possibly storing it as fat. Another thing I do, even though I don't eat with my family, I will do some eating for that day. I will do I go to these little boot camp, these little tense boot camp classes in the morning. D has one at the gym. So you can go there and on like Thanksgiving, I go to a boot camp class. Like I'll eat my regular breakfast, go to a boot camp class, then eat another meal, my regular meal plan, and then I'll kind of start seeing what's going on in terms of when we're eating. As long as I can get away, I will eat my food separately, or I'll put my food on the plate, sit at the table as if I was going to eat, and then fake out. I never end up eating. I just wrap it up at the end, and nobody knows the wiser. So that's what I do. But also that another thing too is depending on how you are, I'm a protein girly. Like I will go. I see this is bad. Don't be like me, y'all. I can eat a pound of protein at one sitting, and I would tear it down. All right, okay. Give me some Publix chicken tenders, and I'm gonna tear them down. So it actually is a benefit to me because if I'm seeing a plate, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to grab a whole bunch of more protein. I'm not going to grab the macaroni and cheese, the corn. I'm not grabbing all that. I'm going for the protein and the greens. I'm also a greens girl and I love my veggies. So if I'm going more protein, that's the way it's giving more fat and more protein. And I go that way with like a piece of cornbread or a little bit of mac and cheese. But now I got to the point where if I even see mac and cheese and it started looking a little too cheesy, I'm like, who made that? And just I don't know. My brain has shifted so much because it's been my entire life of dieting that I can't physically eat certain things anymore because it just looks so, it's just too much. It's just too much. Like even now, certain seasons, I can't even season my chicken too much. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's giving me too much. If it's giving me too sweet, I don't like it. So that's a blessing in terms of my adaptations to my career. But those are things that I think will help. See, I got tips.
There you go. You learned that off of a movie. You was watching a movie or something.
I really
And
did.
you know what, our fans, I don't think they realize is my code, the _pro_deucer, actually gives you more discount than yours.
Hey, don't listen to him, guys.
No, I'm telling you, you get a much bigger discount. So don't be using that other one. That one's like this little. Mine's like this much.
It's about the support, guys. Leave me
No, and they're the same. I'm pretty sure they better be the same.
So, all right, y'all. This wrap. I don't even know what episode we are on. I have no idea.
Maybe like I'm telling you though, that next one next week, y'all better tune in. It's gonna be Kim's a pretty funny dude. Sid's gonna ask some probably pretty intense questions. So you might get a lot of answers to some questions y'all have had for many years.
So tune in.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, y'all. So I hope y'all enjoy that. I hope you got more information as usual. We are back onto our regularly scheduled program. We'll start pumping these out once a month again per usual. Now that I'm back in town. Now, well,
Until something happens to where she goes somewhere she can't talk about,
again.
and y'all don't know about it, and or whatever.
That's
So
going to happen.
just
So you know.
if we disappear for a little bit, it's because Sid's doing some bullshit and left me behind. So just FYI.
Pretty much. That's how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, y'all. It is me, 8-time figure Olympia champion, Sydney Gillen, and
Damian Segovia.
we are out. This has been Cylence Unlocked.
See ya.